What's good, everybody? I'm Keandre, this is Hoop Intellect, and welcome back to the channel. I have returned from Summer League, and it was pretty much as fun as I expected. I always wanted to go, and in part thanks to y'all, we were able to finally make that happen. Now, as for the vlog, I definitely did my best to show what was going on, but it was a lot tougher to execute given the masks, the noise, trying to watch as many games as possible and be present in them and just be, present in the moment in general. So this isn't exactly a classic vlog, but I did get a ton of footage both off my phone and my camera that I felt like I had to show. But we will go more in depth on Summer League on the next podcast episode that should come out this week. But for now, we'll talk about some of the biggest takeaways and some of the ins and outs of the experience. Don't worry if I don't talk about your guy, I'll most likely mention him on the pod. So about the experience. I didn't really know what to expect, to be honest. I had never been to Vegas, number one. That's a whole different thing. And I wasn't exactly sure how things would be set up inside the arena, how far or close Cox Pavilion was to Thomas and Mack, and where we would sit, etc. But Cox Pavilion is basically right on the concourse of Thomas and Mack, and I'm going to say it is a beautiful place for NBA basketball. Like, I imagine there may be a point the NBA outgrows having games in there, but having the high school atmosphere for league talent is perfect. There are very few bad seats in the gym, and if you play it right, you can end up getting what's just about as good as a courtside seat in the league. And you'll inevitably see so many important faces in and around the game. On another note, I had several people who recognized me and said what's up. I definitely appreciate you guys for that. I was trying to be as inviting as possible, but if I came off dismissive or anything, believe me, I wasn't trying to be. Part of it was just because you couldn't see my expression with the mask on, and the other part is strangers recognizing you is a very new feeling for me. But yeah, also shout out to the people who I had already interacted with on the internet and had conversations with, and to those I didn't get to meet this time, we'll make it a point to link up next year. So to the stuff y'all really care about, first of all, I enjoyed seeing these prospects in person, most of them for the first time. We'll jump around a little bit in this short recap, but seeing Jalen Green and Cade go at it was great. The energy in the building was amazing, even for the relatively small amount of people in there, and the lack of hardcore fandom that would be present in many other basketball games. Jalen Green was spectacular. He put on a show every time I saw him, and he absolutely looked the part of that top 2, top 3 guy. He had the same swag he portrays on Instagram throughout the week, even after he got hurt.
Ray Scott with a 3-point goal.
The other Rockets guys looked good too. Alperen Sengun was one of the more impressive players the entire week, and he really didn't surprise me with anything. He was him. The inside activity on the glass, getting to the line, the footwork, passing flashes, and the help side blocks, they were all there. He's still a bit behind as a perimeter defender and in the pick and roll, just looking ahead to the league. But he has some really great moments, and I think that was a really great start to his NBA career. Josh Christopher didn't shoot it well and had some shot selection issues, but defensively he was top tier. He brought a ton of energy to the court and looks like someone who should absolutely be a player in the years to come. I only saw Umar Garuba after he hopped off the flight and checked into the game, like immediately after. I didn't put a ton of stock into his performance just given the circumstances though. Cade didn't play great in that first matchup, but he was good overall. He had his breakout game against the Knicks. I wasn't a huge fan of how he was being used by Detroit. I definitely felt like he should have had the ball significantly more than Saben Lee, and I felt like he could have split those duties with Killian Hayes just a little bit more. But I can understand the thinking of getting Killian those reps. But even through that, Cade still very much checked the boxes for himself as a player in this summer league. Now, Killian still has some work to do. I really like the dynamic that he and Cade can bring defensively. He's definitely much bigger in person than I thought. That was something that immediately stood out to me the first time I saw him play. I was underwhelmed by his performance overall, but he still has promise, and there's definitely no need to overreact to what is his first game action in months after being hurt for most of his rookie season. Now to some of the others who impressed me throughout the week. Starting with Cam Thomas. I think he did what anyone who ever watched him in college thought he would do. He gets buckets at the highest levels and is never afraid of the moment. When he was coming off the bench in those first couple games, I was extremely confused because, this is his stage. He still definitely has things to work on for when he plays a role in the NBA, but it's impossible to get mad at what you saw him do. And it was really fun to finally get to see him do that step back in person. Now, a team that I knew I had to watch early and often was the Atlanta Hawks. Starting with Sharif Cooper, some of the same things he needs to work on persist. The dude can make every pass and he does it with such ease. He blows by people. He loves using that in and out. That between the legs is so unbelievably quick. And just the fact that he fell to 48th is going to be a talking point forever. But it's really ridiculous. He took and made some huge shots and was definitely on the short list of most impressive players throughout the week. His teammate Jalen Johnson is one of those guys who makes you question if you're the same species. He's a true locomotive who made an impact on both ends, and a guy I think can help the Hawks off the bench this year for sure. He probably shouldn't have fallen to 20 just based on talent, and you all know I would have said that before Summer League. Jaden McDaniels is another guy who caught my eye. You know, he's going to be a great player. He's huge and is probably the best defender I saw all week. The offensive upside is still there, and the duo of him and Jalen Noel did exactly what I thought they would. That is put up buckets with ease and look like actual NBA contributors right now. The number 3 pick, Evan Mobley, still has an obvious area to address, and that is his strength. If he can add significant strength and a bit of weight over these next few years, those post-ups and offensive opportunities are going to become so much easier. Like, you can clearly see he's added quite a bit offensively even since March and expanded his range a bit. You know, he took some dribble pull-ups and flashed a tremendous shot creating ability for a big, but it's still raw and a bit unrefined. He's everywhere defensively, and overall he remains a top tier guy after his first appearance in the Summer League. The Orlando Magic group had such an interesting dynamic to watch up close. It felt like this team really responds and follows Cole Anthony quite a bit. You know, he has this very infectious personality, and he's got that classic New York expression. Now, Cole didn't really play well at all, but I wouldn't overreact if I was a Magic fan. I'd maybe be a little bit worried, but not significantly. Jalen Suggs mailed home his game and why many like myself had him as a top 4 prospect. He's actually much bigger in person also, and he looks like he'll be able to guard many wings in the league. He's a terrific athlete, he makes the right play on offense, and shows some clear improvements as a ball handler and as a shooter. It's nothing spectacular just yet, but it was definitely necessary, and I love to see it. The plays he made against Golden State were all I needed to see to know that he's going to make his mark in the league in some way. Speaking of the Warriors, Jonathan Kaminga and Moses Moody were a great contrast in wings to watch. Kaminga is every bit of the physical outlier you think he is on screen. He almost got me out of my seat several times throughout the week. Definitely has his areas to improve and many of his weaknesses remain, but it was good to see him still have that confidence and willingness to play in different spots. As for Moses Moody, he was what I expected. You know, he's a terrific shooter, he's malleable, made plays defensively, had some moments off the bounce, and he is who I think fits most easily with the Warriors right now, but we'll see how their rotation shakes out in the end. Now to some others I'd like to briefly mention, BJ Boston being the first. Summer League often spawns the overreactions, but the 51st pick? Come on now. He looks stronger, more comfortable, the shot looks more fluid, less of a catapult, kind of two motion. And if it was any other 51st pick, his play would probably turn heads, but this is a guy who was top 5 projected before the season. Trey Murphy looked excellent. He's clearly been making improvements as self-creation goes, and he's come along nicely since being at Virginia, where he was probably a bit miscast offensively, but defensively he grew into a menace, and now he's poised to be a real contributor next year with pretty much no role changes from what he did in the Summer League. Really, he's someone I wish I would have been a little bit higher on than that log jam of prospects in that 20 to 30 type of tier. You know, I couldn't go without mentioning Chris Duarte. I didn't get to see him more than a few quarters, but he was great. There's a reason he was called one of the most ready-made prospects in the class. He's got supreme confidence as a shooter, made a ton of plays off ball defensively, and was overall one of the best players I saw, which is a good start for your 24-year-old lottery pick. I first saw Bol play at a tournament when he was about 15, he's a year younger than me in school, and he really still has the same game as he did then. He's got a ton of offensive talent, you all know that, but I'm just waiting for him to put it all together effort-wise and as a team defender. And keeping it with the Nuggets, Bones Highland came in and was immediately electric, even through COVID keeping him from playing at first. He still put in work, averaged about 20 a game. A few guys who very much look ready to contribute next year that we didn't mention already. Tyrese Maxey is the first. He's a super dynamic scorer who just wouldn't quit. Like, I had to ask myself, how is he not tired after some of these sequences he had, but he just kept going. He's definitely a steal from that draft. Desmond Bane and Xavier Tillman were easily some of the best players out there. They're more than ready for a full 82 game experience as important pieces next year. Davion Mitchell might not have the greatest stat line, but he was great in Summer League. I changed this up a little bit to talk about him after they finished their championship game, and the ultimate conclusion I have is that he's going to contribute in the league. There's still something very strange going on with his free throws as it relates to the rest of his shooting, but he ran the show fairly well, and defensively, he's an absolute menace, especially when they let him be physical. It was a really good run for him and a Kings team that got off to a poor start in the California Classic Summer League. Obi Toppin looked much improved from the season. The jumper was more fluid, he looked a lot more comfortable on the perimeter, which was a huge key for him coming in, and I think he can actually help them next season. Emmanuel quickly struggled shooting it at times, but he was getting to his spots, and he looked more comfortable with the ball in his hands than last season, and definitely at Kentucky. And the Clippers, Jay Scrubb looked like he was back at John A. Logan in JUCO. Just now, he's in the NBA Summer League. I'm excited to watch him because he was a guy I was relatively higher on than most people. I think he can help the Clippers this season, especially, given their circumstances. Now to some random points or things I saw or experienced. Saw the Ball family got that whole experience. You could hear LeVar's voice throughout the entire Thomas and Mack Center at one point, which was pretty wild. The fans might get a bit out of hand in their Jello Ball fandom, but it was cool to see him on this stage, and while he's not a world beater, he didn't look out of place. One of the best moments was when Bam Adebayo walked into the gym with his gold medal and made his way to the Heat bench where he greeted the team, Duncan Robinson, and the coaching staff. I've never seen a gold medal in person, let alone been at one of an Olympian's first appearances getting back to the United States, so that was really cool. I saw Drewski. Liz Cambridge was at a couple of games, and yeah, she's a legit 6'8", if not actually taller than that. Giannis was there several times, Ja was there like every day. A lot of other random things happened, but those are some of the ones that just stick out, right now as I'm talking. But yeah, that's the short version of my Summer League experience. I will talk a bit more in depth on the podcast, so stay tuned for that. But again, I want to thank y'all for the support, and those of you who I chopped it up with. Those of you who thanked or acknowledged me in person, you guys are the real MVP. But anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and get up out of here. If you're still here, I'll give you the inside info on things that are coming ahead. I plan on doing the podcast consistently in the future. Be on the lookout for a way too early 2022 board, a couple of film studies, and other great basketball content. Be sure to like and subscribe, comment down below some of your thoughts on the Summer League. I'm Keandre, this is Hoop Intellect, and I'm out.